I still ride a goddamn skateboard too, you know? Like, is that all right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief. I don't know, when people my age hear that I still ride a skateboard, they treat me like I'm in phase 3 of chemotherapy. Oh, it's so great you're still doing that. Wish I was that brave. Hang in there. I gravitated towards skateboarding because you can do it on your own. A dickhead coach isn't yelling at you like the whole time, just barking orders at you. Because I love playing baseball and I love playing football, but I'd be sitting on the bench all the time because I goofed off a lot. And with skateboarding, you can do it anywhere, anytime that you want. And frankly, if you're not a goofball, you're an outcast in skateboarding. You know, that's what was great about skateboarding. It was like the outcasts, the weirdos, like the ones who didn't fit in. I had an accident when I was about a year old, and so I've always talked kind of funny, and I have like visible scars and whatnot. So I've always been kind of like easy to make fun of and whatnot. I mean, everyone was easy to make fun of, but I was a little bit more easier. With skateboarding, it just embraces those different types of people, not the norm in a sense. And I just met other like-minded people and other kind of weirdos like myself through skateboarding. And that kind of was a stepping stone into like music and punk rock and hardcore. My name is Dravk. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm originally from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. We're filming this in Zembo Temple Skate and Design, which is my skate shop and art supply, which I opened in August of 2018. I started skateboarding, I guess, back in the 70s, goofing around on plastic banana boards or whatever. Me and a couple of my friends had skateboards, and we spray painted them all blue, and we called ourselves the Blue Goons. Around the mid-'80s, I really got into skateboarding, back when it was punk rock and rebellious, and we wore shirt sleeves in our heads, you know? My first pro board was a Jeff Kendall Exploding Earth with pink gull wings and white slime balls. Whenever I was born, we lived in a trailer in the middle of a field on my grandparents' farm, which was across the street from a dirt oval racetrack, Susquehanna Speedway. Still there to this day, one of the few dirt tracks there. And we lived in a trailer there, and then we moved to Mechanicsburg in an apartment complex. And then that's where I started to make a circle of friends. And then, you know, as the years went on, we moved to different spots, and we finally, in 4th grade, moved to Mechanicsburg in a house, which I lived in up to graduation of high school. And there's where I made a bunch of different new friends, and when the mid-'80s came around and punk rock was becoming more prominent, my stepbrother Scott made me a mixtape of good punk rock, Circle Jerks, Gangrene, you know, TSOL, just a lot of the classic 80s punk rock bands. And I just remember just getting that Jeff Kendall and listening to that in my Sony Walkman. That was like 7th grade in junior high. And that was just the foundation of what the future would bring. Yeah, whenever I was playing music, it was very similar to skateboarding in a sense. It's free like jazz. You're playing off each other. You have like-minded people to bring their style and their way of approaching something like skateboarding with music, and then you combine yours with that and you make songs. And I think skateboarding really paved the way for the frame of mind. If you fail, try it again, do it different. You know, the reason it's failing is because you're doing something wrong. Move your foot or hit the drums a little different, or repetition as well. The more, if you do it every day, the more it becomes second nature. It's tough because you hear people always say, oh, the parallels with skateboarding and music. It's just like, yeah, I mean, of course, you can make parallel with anything. But I think really the parallel is rhythm of things. With skateboarding, you gotta have timing down. Like you gotta pop before you come to the steps, and it's really a rhythmatic type of thing. It's all like within succession. If it's offbeat at all, you're not gonna land straight, or it's gonna be crooked. And the same with the music, you gotta be a machine in the sense of keeping the tempo, and it's all like a rhythm. And really, skateboarding is kind of like dancing in a sense too. You gotta stay on it and be somewhat, have a natural sense of rhythm and balance, as well as like with music, you gotta have some sort of mental balance as well as a sense of rhythm as well. And pushing, you're kind of like setting the rhythm, and like if you're gonna do a nollie or like a fakey ollie up a curb, you know you gotta ollie super early to get up there. It's like the same sense, like when you're jamming and you know something's coming up, you kind of do a different, hit the hi-hats open, or the guitarist will strum to let you know that we're changing into the chorus or a different verse. Same with the skateboarding, even though it's a solo act, you're still like responding to the environment in a rhythmic sense, that you gotta pop earlier, or just the sounds of the sidewalk going tick, 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 that kind of sets you up mentally for what you're doing. And also it sounds pretty sick. I think the best music is the sound of a skateboard on sidewalk ticks and bricks. Oh, the tick, 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 tick. It's just like, you should, tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
I've always been drawing, and I really liked merchandising and advertising. Like I liked at the grocery store, just looking at package designs and just the graphic design of it all, and like the 60s, like pop culture and 50s kind of feel of minimalism and color schemes. Like growing up as a kid, if my tube socks didn't match my outfit, I was so bummed. Like I had to have my freaking 3-stripe tube socks match my freaking shorts. I remember my mom got us a typewriter one time, and I would just create little short stories with this typewriter. So I just always wanted to make my own thing and create. And I don't know, I guess in the early mid-90s, it was kind of cool to have your own brand. Like a lot of these small skateboard company brands were popping up, and they're like doing the pop art thing, like ripping off real logos and making it their own, and like everyone's coming out with their own like little brand, because everything's getting a little more accessible and easier to DIY. So I started making my own little stickers, just little sketches and drawings, and I guess I thought of 1-2. I just liked numbers together, and I think there was a Luna shirt. The band Luna had a shirt that had a 2 in it with a circle around it, and then I just kind of put it together, and I like the play on words of like I'm 1-2. I think I just started just whatever it is, brand or just a signature of 1-2, which is a 1 and 2 beside each other, and I just started making stickers and putting them everywhere. And then anything I made after that, I was like just 1-2 is what it was, and I just kind of kept that since then.
And did that transform into Penna.gram?
Yeah, and Penna.gram was kind of around the same thing as well, because 1-2 was like my art, and I also like to skate. So Penna.gram, I was just goofing off, making a keystone, and I just put a upside down star in the keystone, and I was like, oh, and tweaked it a little bit more after renditions. I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh, Penna.gram, Pennsylvania. I was like, all right, I gotta do something with this. And just, I'd like logos, just simple, like if it flies by on a tractor trailer and you recognize what that logo is, like that's a great successful logo. And I just, with the 1-2, you could see that from a mile away and know what it is. And then the Penna.gram as well is like keystone. It's just very memorable. Actually, I was arguing about women's rights today with a woman. I lost. Apparently, it's apostrophe S, not S apostrophe. Let's get those mixed up. I heard it growing up. I'm sure everyone's heard it. Oh, you should be a stand-up comedian, you know? Ghosts are kind of annoying, aren't they? They're pretty needy. Little entities. Always trying to get your attention. Like, all right, man, what do you want? I'm trying to sleep. Quit changing the thermostat. I hate when I do that. It's all about them. Thanks, Raj. If you fold it up, you can make George Washington's head look like a penis. It's a pretty good trick. Nice. Like, I'm not trying to hold a title or anything, but I've always been the class clown. Like, that was my thing. I just disrupted class. I waited for the moment to disrupt class. Like, I was always being sent to the office or in detention. And my one friend, Brian, incredibly talented, gifted musician, one of my best friends, still to this day. He would play shows a lot. He was in a band called Regatta 69, ska band. And sometimes comedians would open up for him, or he would see comedians when he'd be out at these venues playing shows and whatnot. And he always said, since like high school, dude, you need to try stand-up comedy. Like, you need to do it. Of course, I've always thought about doing stand-up comedy. I loved it. I fell in love with it when I saw the Unknown Comic on the Gong Show. I remember that. I remember watching the Gong Show in the 70s. This guy coming out with a bag on his head. He didn't even say anything. He was just the way he was moving. I was dying. Like, I just thought that was the most amazing thing, to walk on stage, not say anything, and be funny. I've always thought that was awesome. I guess I'm an ally. I mean, I wouldn't call myself an ally. I mean, when I put a label on it, just be you, and I just think everyone's equal, you know? I've always been like that. Like when I was a kid, I would mix Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head parts. I didn't care. And then, about 2 years ago, I was in a coffee shop I frequent for work, and one of the baristas, she was moving, and she had a bunch of books out on the counter she was just giving away, and one was a book by Judy Carter, an 80s stand-up comic, who's now an author of many books, How to Do Stand-Up. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna read this. And in the book, there's write down subjects you like. So I write down some subjects. Write down the opposite of that. I write down some opposites. How about some tragedies? Okay, write down some tragedies. How about some great things? And I just read the book, I had a set. I'm like, all right. And I looked up open mic in Philadelphia, and there are a lot in Philadelphia. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 every day, except for the weekends. Really? There's a lot of open mics in Philadelphia for comedy. So I just chose one, had a set together, and the rest is history. There's a lot of parallels with skateboarding and comedy.
Like?
They both hurt a lot. There's a lot of cool guys in the scene. Like if you're just starting out and you show up, you're gonna get vibed, you know? You're gonna get vibed pretty hard. But then if you keep at it, they'll see that you're like, oh, cool. And he's going for it, all right. You're cool, man.
So is it like a similar kind of counterculture, like that kind of?
Yeah, definitely. Like they think they're cool, but they're not really.
Yeah.
Skateboarders think they're cool, but they're not really. You're just riding a goddamn skateboard. I think she's the bee's knees. Like, she's super nice. She's incredibly nice, very charming. And I'm kind of a jerk, you know. I wonder why she's with me, you know, like how I got so lucky. But then I remember I did forward that chain email back in 2002, so like it was coming to me. I'm a Gen Xer, you know, she's a millennial. You know, we're a lot alike, a lot of similarities, but there are some generational differences between us. Like growing up, when she started liking boys, she would text them, you know. When I started liking girls, you know, I would write them notes. You know, like if I was crushing on someone, I'd write them a note and decorate it with pictures. Pass it to her in class, you know. I think it's a little more romantic, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
I drew the best dick pics. They were so good. But I always knew it was me because my face was in every one. I don't know, always in the back of my head, for some reason, I've always wanted like a retail shop, like my own little shop. I would do sketches and drawings of what it would be like, and when I started skateboarding, of course, just like any other skater, you know, you daydream about your own skate shop and how you would do it and what you would do in it. And it was kind of like a no-brainer, like half skate shop, half art supply, because I just make a shop that I want. Hopefully other people, like-minded people, are out there. I found a newspaper clipping about my accident when I was 1, and the Zembo Temple helped me a lot as a child with that accident. They paid for everything, and they got the doctors, they got everything for me, paid for all my traveling expenses up to Boston, to the major Shriners Hospital, because technically I was a burn victim, and they support burn victims and children. I'm not sure why the Shriners helped me. I was just some trailer park kid who drank lye when he was sat on his aunt's countertop by his mom. So yeah, I was an internal burn victim, and unlike a lot of the other Shriner help is exterior burn victim. I have over 50 surgeries, and they said I wasn't gonna live, and then they said I wasn't ever gonna eat normally. I was never gonna speak. That was definitely a thing. And for some reason, they put all this time and effort in me, and it was told, and it says in the paper clipping, that I was the first successful esophagus transplant. Because because I drank lye and it burned all of my insides and my mouth and my stomach, and so I had to eat out of a tube out of my stomach until this healed. And so they were trying to think of how they can replace my esophagus, and they tried to do like baboons and other stuff with other people, but it failed it each time. So they were thinking internally, so they took a piece of my colon, because that functions as an esophagus. It's the same kind of tissue, and it's side routed. My old esophagus is still here, but the new one's over here, and it still works. So. I don't know, it's something that it's been ingrained in me for so long since I started getting into it in the mid-'80s. It's just part of my life. Introduced me to new friends. It opened my world up to other cultures. It brought me to other cities. Like, I don't think I would have really traveled to other cities and met with other people, going to see shows, basement shows in Hagerstown, you know, a basement show in Kutztown, and traveling around the East Coast if it wasn't for skateboarding, really. I have friends for life because of skateboarding. I guess I don't really realize it. It kind of really means everything to me. Yeah, I don't know. I think without skateboarding, I'd be totally different, really. I mean, really in the path I was going to. I think skateboarding helped me focus, even though I still like to party and like do weird drugs and drink and whatnot and lose my mind. There's always skateboarding to look forward to. If I didn't have skating, what would I have looked forward to like growing up in high school by myself? And think my outlet was riding my skateboard around the town, meeting up with other friends who kind of were also from broken families in a sense. We all found each other. And it gave us motivation. We would go to different towns. We would create our own scene. We made our own zine. It just basically was a pathway to doing things for myself, in which I think I really needed at the time, and I don't think I really realized it until now, talking about it. It's crazy how to think how just a simple thing on a wooden plank with 4 wheels, like I met the best people, the best of friends, traveled to the best of places, had really the best of times. Like I traveled to Europe, I hear a skateboard, I go towards it, I instantly have a friend who told me about this other spot down the street and how there's a small park. And I met friends there and we were hanging out that night. I feel like I could talk forever about like what a skateboarding means.